everyone, welcome back to Introspectively Living today. Today we have on YouTuber, entrepreneur, and podcaster Isaac Carlson, formerly Wotso Videos, on his YouTube channel that has, I think, a little bit over 500,000 subscribers. And yeah, happy to have you on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been a fun journey getting to this point. So yeah, I'm happy to be able to share whatever you're interested in about my experiences being online.
Perfect. Yeah, because I think your story is so interesting, and I know you recently just uploaded a video as well, kind of talking about like your journey from what you were passionate about when you were little and just kind of keeping that on and then infusing that now into your channel. So I think it's really interesting how you were able to kind of create your own reality and like make it profitable, especially in this day and age. So yeah, what would you say? Just give a little background about yourself and what you're doing now and kind of who you are.
Sure. So over the past, I think I'm in my 5th year at this point. I've kind of been in a perpetual state of thinking that I've been doing this for around 5 years. But I around 2016, like in January of 2016, I decided that I was going to start posting consistently on YouTube after making videos in my free time ever since like 3rd grade. So I had been experimenting with like VHS camcorders and action figures and stop motion and messing around with programs like GIMP and Windows Movie Maker for years. But at that point, I decided that I wanted to post on a consistent basis. And so what I started out doing was making Star Wars lore videos. But over that year, I just started trying different things and experimenting with it each week until I got to the point where when I showed up on move-in day of college, I was at 1,000 subscribers. And it was a really exciting point in time. And part of the reason I had gotten to that point was because I had kind of started to discover and pivot towards more Disney animation focused videos, because those were suddenly being able to perform better than my Star Wars videos. So I started to double down into that. And when I went to college, I started posting twice a week, and I just kind of kept going with that. And throughout college, I started to focus more on like business and entrepreneurship. And I became involved in that realm a lot more through like competitions and getting a certificate in entrepreneurship. And it was a really cool community that I enjoyed having in my college years. And it kind of opened me up to the possibilities of how far like YouTube as a business could go. And so at this point, I'm like 2 years out from when I graduated from college, but I'm still pursuing YouTube and being involved with it and thinking about business opportunities and being self-employed. And so that's kind of where I've been. And it's kind of always circled around Disney and its different properties like Star Wars, Marvel, and of course, Disney and Pixar animation. And so it's kind of a fun thing. And now I'm on lots of different platforms other than YouTube, but definitely my focus still is like online video. I think that's the most fun. So YouTube and TikTok are my 2 favorite social medias right now.
Oh yeah, I feel like TikTok just as like a social media totally exploded in the past few months, and it's definitely super interesting. But yeah, so what kind of drew you to first start making videos about even like Star Wars and Disney? Because I feel like that's, you still might hear that it sounds like such a random topic, or what like specifically did you start focusing in on it? And obviously it's something you're super passionate about. So yeah, how were you able to make that into videos and then to make kind of a business out of that?
So I initially was focusing on Star Wars just because that was something that I was like really excited by. I went through lots of different phases of getting really into like Disney and the Disney parks when I was growing up. That's where my family vacationed. I was really passionate about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, but Star Wars was a big through point. And so when I was going into my senior year of high school, that was when Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, was releasing in December of 2015. So that was when it was like peak hype of like Star Wars returning. And that was when I was like really excited by the idea of making videos again. especially because some of my earlier videos had kind of had the opportunity to grow over a few years. My first video I posted on my channel that I have right now got 50,000 views. And so it was like, suddenly I was like, oh, there's like a potential here to like actually reach an audience talking about this. So then it was just kind of like about starting it. And as for like how a business got developed around it, it was just kind of, it started off with just like ad revenue from YouTube, eventually building up over time. And that's still kind of like what the tent pole of the channel is right now. But now it's been a point where it's like, now it's time to like pivot into other realms and try to diversify that revenue stream while continuing to like grow the YouTube channel and the social media following over time. And I think that's kind of the thing I've been in it's kind of like this nexus that it's been a difficult thing to transition into, because it's pretty much been solely, like, especially throughout college, just focusing on making 2 videos a week. And so once I was like fully opened up my time, I suddenly felt like I needed to like do so many different things. And so now choosing what things to do has been difficult, especially since there was a lot of weird stuff happening on YouTube with the child online protection acts with with all of that taking place, because that was really weird, because I was worried that like my channel might get demonetized or I could be fined by the government. And then it transitioned into COVID. So it's been a rough first few years, like diving into being a YouTuber full time. But I think I've found a way to like be more patient with it long term and trying to think more long term about it, so that it can be a sustainable business long term.
Yeah, definitely. And I think so many people, when they hear like the term YouTuber, or, you know, you make your business online, are kind of self-employed, not doing like the normal 9-to-5 job, or even whatever like you went to college for. I think a lot of people kind of look down upon that and think it can't really be sustainable. So that's why I find it so interesting when someone like yourself is able to really create a brand around that and then transition into, you know, more avenues and, you know, create a lifestyle kind of around that. And then also I feel like just making videos by itself, you were probably in those like years of college or whatever, you just kind of have like a pinhole on, and it's like you just are focusing on like the 2 videos a week and whatnot. And I feel like that could be probably a grind as well. So like, how did you stay motivated just throughout like the past 5 years and making sure that you're pushing out content, but also, you know, like looking for other avenues to expand your brand?
Yeah, I think like it was just really easy to start out with when it was 2 videos, partly because like the videos like weren't as complex as sometimes I've gotten them in like recent years, where it's like in recent years I've tried to make like half-hour like mini documentary style videos, or like even like 15-minute videos are so much longer than what I started out with. So the video started off being something that was fairly reasonable, and I was really excited by it, especially since there was so much success coming from it. And I think that's something that kind of kept me like really excited from it. And I think that's something that I've also had to like calm down about over time, is like that when you're in your first year that you are getting consistent like millions of views on each video, like it's difficult to suddenly drop down to like views that are substantially less, like and like it's still and I think that's just like a difficult thing is like how do you transition from like viral hits to like sustainable growth, and what times do you pivot and what times do you stay the course? Those can be more difficult questions to ask, especially when you're out of college. But in college, it was just like, well, this is something that's at least making me money, and is being able to bring in revenue and is able to be a business during college. So I didn't have to think too long term about it during those times. So it was just kind of something where I just got to like go to class and make my videos. And I was just like content doing that for a long time.
Totally. And I feel like too, just uploading a video and then seeing that instant gratification, because obviously you put so much work into it. Like you thought of the idea, you know, filmed it, edited it, all that stuff, and then to see that like reciprocated back. As much as people say like it's kind of what's the word, like, oh, what word am I thinking of? But like gilded almost, or like false, just to like pay attention to the views. I feel like it does affect you though, because it's people interacting with your content and you want people to like it, and you're putting out all this. So it does affect you and kind of your mindset sometimes when you're creating.
Yeah. Like, and that's kind of the weird thing about it too, is that like, I've like definitely learned over time that like I can't wrap up my self-esteem with the views, regardless of they get really high or really low. But at the same time, there's also like a bit of reality where if they aren't getting millions of views, then, or they aren't getting the viewership that you are hoping for and intending, why is that happening? So you have to like simultaneously care about it for the business, but also not care about it from like an ego standpoint. So like that's also like a weird balance that has to be striked every time I upload anything.
Right. Because like you said, like if something's getting so much popularity, you want to keep on doing whatever that is for like the business side of it. And then, so yeah, as you transition into just finding different avenues from what you kind of created as a foundation, I know you started YouTube with like a different channel name. It was called Wotso Videos. And then now you transitioned into Isaac Carlson. So how was that decision to change your brand over? Because I feel like, you know, you had so much of a following with Wotso. And then what really made you change over to kind of like more personalizing your brand instead of making it, you know, more what it was?
So when I started out with like Wotso videos, kind of the idea was that it was going to be something generic enough that the channel could evolve into whatever would work or whatever I was getting the most excited about. And as that grew, the idea of having like other people involved in the channel was also an exciting idea. But eventually over time, I was trying to understand how Wotso videos fit into my greater like vision for the future. And it started to become like too complex, and then I wanted it to be simplified because I had made like a personal Twitter like years ago, and then I made like a Wotso videos Twitter, but I used like all of the Wotso videos, like Twitter, Instagram, and everything as like personal channels. So it felt weird to have all these things named Wotso videos if it was really just like a representation of me. And so think with the realization that I was like, this is really just like a proclamation of my thoughts, and long term I want this to be my personal YouTube channel where I'll share updates about the things that I'm eventually going to be doing, and being able to tie that into like a more personal brand, I think was beneficial. And I also am aware of the idea that people are much more willing to follow individuals over brands. And so with that in mind too, I'm like, Wotso videos isn't really something that's like a brand, and I don't really see where the brand is going forward. So then I should just remove that barrier to entry and just have it be transparently me. So that was what my thought process was.
Makes sense, because like you did say, I was going to bring that up as well. Like usually when you subscribe to someone or you're constantly like looking for their content, it's like 80% because you like the person, and then you're also interested in the content, but it's the person that kind of draws you to the content. You know what I mean? So your audience likes your Disney and like your analysis and everything like that because you guys are both interested in that. But then if someone else was doing it, I feel like they wouldn't be as adept to watch it and whatnot. And then like combining your personal kind of following and what you're doing and like updates with your brand, I think then people are just, you know, they're more interested in what you, Isaac, are doing as well.
Yeah.
Totally. So then as well, obviously, like what made you use YouTube as your first platform as creativity way back when starting your channel? Because obviously there's a lot of different ways you can kind of to have a presence on the internet and whatnot. So what kind of drew you to YouTube? And also kind of tail offing of that, like, you know, we're both like avid YouTube watchers as like viewers. So then as you become more of like a creator, is your viewership experience changed for like the people that you're kind of like following that you followed before? Or how does that relationship? Yeah, two kind of parts to that question, but
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's see. Wait, what was the first question again?
What drew you to YouTube to like make your channel in the first place instead of like making an Instagram about it or, you know, whatnot?
Honestly, it was just that I actually used YouTube. Whereas like I didn't make an Instagram or a Twitter or any other social media other than like Facebook until after I had my YouTube channel. So I was just, it was just that I was like, I enjoyed using YouTube. I was seeing content on YouTube that kind of was inspiring me. And I also saw that like there wasn't people talking about the things that I wanted to talk about, like The Lion King and The Little Mermaid and other animated Disney properties. So then it felt like the opportunity was on YouTube because that was just where I wanted to post these videos of myself. And like looking back, it would have been extremely beneficial to share those videos onto Facebook as well. But it was just like, it just wasn't what was like the thing that really excited me. It was just like the platform that I cared about and wanted to be on. And as for how my viewership has changed, I think it's been interesting to see, like, analyze how creators are capturing people's attention, are transitioning out of their videos, how they integrate different sponsors. I'm more adept at that. I think like in analyzing it, I find it extremely fascinating to see how people are presenting themselves online and connecting to other social medias as well, and what people's I can understand to some extent. I mean, never exactly know what like a social media team is thinking, but you get a sense of what type of strategy they have when you see them post on different platforms and like what style they're taking it, whether they're like clipping stuff and putting it different places or showing screenshots from videos to be on Instagram or things like that. I just find that all pretty fascinating. And of course, I also follow a variety of like YouTube channels and social media people and entrepreneurs to learn about like what's going on in the industry and also like what people's perspectives are on it moving forward. So there's that little bit too, where it's like, because I'm a creator, that I'm also I find it really fascinating to hear about what other creators are doing.
Oh, totally. And then do you feel like it's hard to separate kind of like work from just like relaxing then if you're on YouTube? Because obviously like even now, like with my channel, if I'm on YouTube, like I'm constantly just looking at my videos or kind of comparing my channel or like thinking about things I could do. So is that kind of shut off for you sometimes, or you can just like relax the video, one of your creators, and, you know, is that something you've kind of learned how to work with?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just like the deeper that I've gotten into making my own content, it often means that I watch less of the original content that inspired me.
Okay.
In the way that it's like, there's like a few channels that I'll still watch that are about like Star Wars or that talk about like updates of the new Marvel content or about like the Disney parks and the news that's around them. But it's gotten really, really focused down to like a few creators, such that like I don't really watch or consume content that's like one might consider like a competitor of mine as much anymore. And I've kind of, it's just been a mindset that I've just had with social media for a long time, is like, if there's something that like upsets you consistently, then I just like I just don't follow them anymore. So if there's like social media channels where it's like they're not necessarily they're just not providing me a lot of joy seeing like people go to the Disney parks all the time because they're like constantly flying there, or like someone who's garnering tons of views doing something that I don't necessarily like want to do or understand. If those things are like distractions for me, I just kind of like tune them out. And but that's always like easier said than done. But I try to, and I've been trying to think about this more consciously recently of just like insulating myself from the different distractions and just being more willing to just post my thoughts and to share things. And just do it on a consistent basis again.
I like that idea. Well, especially too, I feel like you've subscribed to people, 6 years ago. Like I have a core of like the people I always subscribe to. And then even just as a viewer, nowadays I might see a video and I'm like, I haven't clicked on one of those in like 9 months. Like, why am I even subscribed to that? Mm-hmm. And then, also I feel like it's really powerful for you then just to kind of take that and like form your own opinions of things, especially if you normally would be watching like other videos in the industry. But what were some of the main people that inspired you first to just create a channel, or, whether it was in this industry or just in the creative field?
One of the first videos that I saw that convinced me to make videos at the start was a YouTube video of like right around the release of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3. And there was a bunch of kids that were, there's a video of kids making videos with Spider-Man action figures. And so that's what initially got me to make videos. So that was what I first did, was made like sets out of cardboard and used Spider-Man action figures.
And that was like when you were so young too, just to like give a perspective for people. So this is something you've been like passionate about forever.
Yeah. Like it was more than half my life ago. Because I was like crazy. 10 or 11. Yeah. And now I'm like 23. So I've been making videos for a while, at least percentage wise of my life. But then when I was like getting into making videos, in recent years, when I decided I was going to post consistently, was like the Super Carlin brothers. They were posting Pixar theories. And so that kind of inspired me to explore making Disney theories, and to explore like the animation side of Disney, because there were so many people making videos about Star Wars and comics and like Pixar, but I specifically wanted to do the Disney stuff. I'm trying to think of there was other channels too that also had like bits of success that I had watched for a long time and had seen them grow. So there was just like that idea that it was like, well, if these people could do it and I've had some success, that I could probably do it.
Definitely. So then what would you tell to someone that's an inspiring YouTuber, or they want to start creating just whatever that is, if they're like an artist or they want to start like creating a business around what they're actually passionate about? What advice would you give to them and kind of throughout the long run of it?
I would say, I would really say there's like 3 things. It's like, 1, just start posting stuff. 2, don't be afraid to show who you are. That should be like one of the first things you prioritize is sharing your own thoughts and opinions so people can actually get connected to you. And then 3 is then just learn about the actual platforms that you're actually posting on. That like right now, the hottest platforms for organic discovery are TikTok and LinkedIn.
Yep.
So if you're going to if you have a very limited amount of time to spend making content, and the goal is to build up like a following as quickly as you can with as few of content, as little content as you possibly can, the most efficient way to grow a social media following is to post TikToks. Now, but of course, if you have different types of goals, that will indicate what type of platform you want to be on, what type of combination you want to have. Like a powerful combination right now is podcast and a TikTok, because then you can convert people that enjoy you in the short form into really long form content.
It makes sense. Yeah.
That, especially because podcasts are ripe for monetizing, because it can facilitate so many advertisements in it, because you are holding people's attention for exponentially longer than any other platform right now.
Okay.
But so that's one of the best combinations that I think exists right now. But just deciding what your goal is, what you want to like monetize with, and just kind of like choosing the platform then. So just share things as much as possible about yourself on platforms that high discoverability. That's the advice.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, because just a random question, but what do you think about the TikTok monetization policy? Because I've heard from a lot of creators, like once they join the TikTok fund, then their views go down, and it's like not really advantageous for them just as their brand. So I don't know. Do you have any perspective on that or experience?
I would say it's just a big old like tinfoil hat conspiracy stuff.
Okay.
Like, and in the fact that it doesn't make any sense for TikTok to do that. Like, why would they encourage their top like individuals on the platform, their top creators, to join this fund and then not send out their content to people? With the reality being that if these are the top creators, these are also the main people that are keeping viewers on the platform. So why would they be like knowingly harming the viewer experience or possibly keeping the attention of viewers less, just because they don't want to pay them money and risk the reality that there's a variety of people that won't hold people's attention as long. So it really just doesn't make sense, especially because they've already divvied up that like certain amount of like money in the creator fund to give out to creators. So it's in the best interest of creators, TikTok, and viewers that if there's a program that monetizes the biggest creators, that it won't suppress them, because it just helps the platform by keeping viewers actually linked up with the creators that they care about the most.
Right. I get that, because how many people wouldn't have TikTok like if they didn't see Addison Rae or something like that, like some of the biggest people, and then it brings them onto the platform, and then it's really advantageous for themselves then to just keep the more viral videos on TikTok, that like the better TikTok is doing as a company. So
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep. Exactly. It's like they're just like, there's certain tentpole creators, and of course, like, you know, the D'Amelio sisters, they don't have to worry about like getting they're not going to get 40,000 views on anything that they post. They're only going to get like 1 million views per post. So it's really the people in the middle that, you know, might have to worry about it. But I think it's just a case of people hoping that they'll continue to get consistent views in perpetuity. And sometimes like it's just a coincidence that you post something that doesn't do as well as it's done previously, and you just join the creator fund. It gets people scared, as if there's something like that they're correlated events, or that there was like a causation, but it was just like a situation that seemed like it was something worse than it actually was.
I get that. And also TikTok interests me because it's such a different algorithm, I would say, than YouTube or more of a traditional social media. Because YouTube, you really have to be precise on what keywords you put out there, what hashtags, and you obviously know way more about that. But I feel like TikTok, it's like your video from like 6 months ago can all of a sudden start going, or it'll get like 1 million views or whatever in like 10 minutes and then just stop. So what, from like a social media perspective and just by studying it and have a background in it, what do you think? Yeah, what do you think about the algorithms like TikTok versus YouTube?
Algorithms, honestly, it's just right now, I would say that like the difference between TikTok and YouTube is the big thing is like YouTube is also a search engine. So like the reality is that your video can propagate up if you have a searchable title, and you can be recommended. You can be in like the browse features are on the homepage of YouTube for people. And you can have videos that propagate up like 7 years later that suddenly go viral when it suddenly becomes relevant. The main difference, I mean, other than the search engine idea, is just that there isn't as much content on TikTok as there is on YouTube. And so the competition is just so much higher. It's exponentially more on YouTube than on TikTok. And so you're just competing against so many more videos on YouTube. Whereas on TikTok, it's just like there just hasn't been enough content that it's gotten diluted yet, where the algorithm means less. And also the other thing that will eventually happen is, that's already started to happen, is that, which is the stuff that killed Instagram and Facebook, is that eventually there will be, which there is right now, is you can promote individual posts onto a For You page, which means that it's going to become kind of a bidding war for people to push content, for brands and marketers to push certain like content on the For You page. And when that happens, discovery will go down because there's so many people paying for positions on your For You page. And so then it's really just going to be like a few marketers and then the people that you watch the most, which is pretty much how Facebook is.
Right.
And Instagram is. It's like brand, then like the 2 big creators you watch, brand, and like it's fine, but it just makes the like, and that's just the natural progression of things. And it doesn't mean that like Instagram and Facebook are like dead. There's like some of the highest grossing in social media channels, and they also have like, it's still one of the highest social capital accounts is Instagram. Having 30,000 followers on Instagram means so much more to brands than 300,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Really? Yeah, that's interesting to me.
Yeah, it's just like a weird thing. It's like people prioritizing blogs. Like people are like, oh wow, you've got so many viewers to your blogs, and it's just like whatever marketers and advertisers like put on a pedestal at the moment. And Instagram is still considered the cool app, but it's TikTok right now. TikTok is gonna kill Instagram. I think you give it 5-10 years, no one's gonna care that you have an Instagram. I think it's gonna be
I can see that.
My prediction right now, in 10 years, Instagram is gonna be the lame millennial app that's just filled with like models and coffee and like a bunch of products that people don't want to buy. It's just going to seem like an extension of Facebook and Facebook Marketplace. And TikTok is going to be the thing where you actually want to have a social media following on. Like, I don't think 3rd or 4th graders in 10 years are even going to have an Instagram right away. I think everyone's going to start out with TikTok.
I agree with that. And that you made so many good points, because even like, I don't know if you've probably seen this TikTok on like your For You page, but it's this guy saying how is posting on Instagram low-key cringe now. I don't know if you saw it. But I saw a bunch of people like stitching it and everything like that just in the past few days. And people are saying, yeah, because it's almost become like a highlight reel. And then you have like your ads. It's just like perfect picture and then ad, perfect picture. And something cool about, I would say, Twitter and TikTok is it's more genuine. But I also, bringing Twitter into the conversation then too, how do you see that fitting into like the social media landscape? Because we have like our tent poles of like Facebook, Instagram. I feel like anyone, below the age of 50 has a Facebook. Then maybe anyone below the age of 30 has an Instagram. But I feel like Twitter is an odd one where, I don't know, it's just a different type of media. There's not as much multimedia, but how do you find it? And what are your thoughts on it?
I feel like Twitter is a weird beast. I don't like Twitter as much. I think Twitter works really well to go directly into the mind of personalities that people care about. So people get really excited to see what like politicians or YouTubers or comedians are like, their opinions on things instantaneously. And it's a lot easier to instantly post a tweet than try to like set up a video and like do a TikTok or post like an Instagram photo or something like that. So it's it's a really simple way of doing that. And whereas Facebook, you could get that type of experience, it doesn't really work because typically like like personal profiles, you only have like your inner circle. So like Facebook feels like this inner circle, and then all of your other stuff, like you have to be a part of all these groups for work or for school, and all this stuff. And then it links with all of your accounts. So like you can log into all these like Eat Street and all this stuff with Facebook. And so like Facebook is kind of becoming like this hub similar like to an email that's a good way to something that I've observed for like a like background part of your online profile, which is kind of how it is too, because with like Facebook pixels on websites, they can track you throughout your entire viewing habits.
Wait, so what is that? Yeah.
Oh,
definitely dive in. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So when you make a website, you can install something called the Facebook pixel, and lots of different like ad providers have this too. I'm pretty sure there's a pixel for Google as well. But just what that means is if you're logged in to like Facebook through an email, then it can attach your email and your Facebook page. And so all of your account information, meaning like your date of birth and your age and all of your demographics with the websites that you're going to. So they can know what websites you go to at what time, because the pixel sends that information back to Facebook. And then you can use that ad data to send ads to people on Facebook.
Okay.
Or, you know, of course, Instagram too, or whatever other platforms they have. So like pixels on web pages allow you to like track people throughout the internet, because that's how when you like go and search Emma Chamberlain coffee, then you suddenly get it on like Wikipedia pages and like stuff like that, where it's like, oh, but how do they know? Well, like it's being sent back to like your profiles so that they know when you're logged into things. Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like that leads to like the bigger question too of kind of what we were talking about once, you know, Instagram and Facebook started adapting or adopting ads. The experience for the user kind of got downgraded. So if the internet on the side is almost being used as just like a way to generate revenue for businesses and certain brands at the downside of the user, how do you strike that balance? Because obviously, or what are your thoughts on it? Because obviously you like branding because then it helps creators, but then at the same time, it's really kind of overall bad for just the genuine like user. And it's also kind of tracking our information. And I feel like that's always kind of a bad thing.
Well, I mean, that's why like so for companies like Apple, it's really easy for them to prioritize security over everything because they don't monetize through advertisements. They're one of the biggest companies in the tech space, but they really don't monetize through ads. Their main source of revenue, I mean, other than sales of their hardware, is their app store like sales. So everything you purchase through an app store, they take 30% of, even if it's like a subscription service to something like Disney Plus or Netflix, where you like log in and you purchase anything purchased through the app store or any app that was downloaded on the app store, Facebook takes 30%, or not Facebook, Apple takes 30% of that. So like recently, Apple has now allowed users to block tracking on apps. And so they're forcing that across all of their apps. So now users have the opportunity on Apple devices to not allow their data to be tracked on apps like Facebook or Google or Twitter. So
that totally makes sense. Yeah. Well, even you have an iPhone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even just with the new update, every time I logged into a new app, the pop-up came up if like you wanted to get sent it or whatever, and then I just said no. But that was definitely like a new update that I just noticed.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing that people now get to choose if they want to be tracked or not. Personally, I'm like, I like personalized ads. I'd rather see a bunch of stuff that I actually like or care about than actually doing it. Like as someone who clicks on lots of stuff about Disney, I enjoy seeing all the deals around resort stays and
that is
seeing
true.
what's on sale and stuff like that. It's like so convenient. And I'd rather have that than getting fed a bunch of stuff that I don't actually like. Plus, I also know that it makes them money too, so I don't really mind it. But but everyone now gets the opportunity to make those decisions. And like, for example, if you're also concerned about like Google tracking you, there's a way you can look through like Google ad specifications for yourself, or Google ad profile, or something like that.
Yep.
And you can go through and select what stuff you want disabled. They give all of that to you. Like, they're not pushing it hard, but if you're like to turn off those things because they monetize through it, but at the same time, they also, especially in states like California, they put a lot of pressure on companies to be transparent about their ad policies. And so it's very easy now to be able to opt out of being tracked in ways that you couldn't really opt out of just a few years ago.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And personally, like, I think, in an ideal world, like, creators would be able to monetize, every creator would be able to monetize beyond ads and be able to have like a diversified business.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, is that like, it's just not it. Like, these platforms are built off of serving ads. And if people don't want advertisements that are highly targeted, which are, cost more, relatively speaking, like general ads to just a group of people that you can't really distinguish against, pay less, which means like the platforms make less money. And some people might say that I'm sounding like a billionaire apologist or like a social media apologist or something, but it's like these platforms,
I get it though. I get it.
Yeah. Like, it's just that, like, this is how the platforms make money. If you don't want ads, the alternative is you have to pay to be on these social media platforms. And that just kind of enters a whole new gamut of like issues that I think people would be very frustrated by or upset by. Like, the reality that, like, if communities of people wouldn't be able to see like tweets by specific individuals because they don't pay to be on the platform, because advertisements are no longer allowed to be on social media, like, then there's not a clear an easy transfer of communication and ideas, and that makes it more difficult too. So personally, I think the idea that like, these massive platforms where we connect with anyone around the world are completely free to us, other than the fact that we relinquish some like data tracking and targeting ads, which can be disabled. I think that's something that's like, I'm more than willing to give up that type of like security or privacy, that little bit, so that I could access these massive platforms.
Right. And I feel like you also articulated just the reality of the situation, because obviously these are companies that want to make money. Like, their only priority isn't just for the user. Like, they're doing it because brands also are like, hey, it's a good spot for them to also promote their own brand as much as, we want to promote our own brands.
Yeah. And like, the alternative to a private company doing it is having like a government controlled social media, like page or account or something. And I don't think people would necessarily feel any more comforted by something like that. I mean, like, that's how it is in China, though, that like
I could not imagine that.
Yeah,
right.
They've got like one platform, one app that pretty much does everything. They send money through it. They post things on it. They share things on it. They buy stuff with it. So it's like QVC, Facebook, YouTube, everything, like Google, all wrapped up in like TikTok, one thing. Yeah, it's just like one app that's government controlled. So I don't know. It's not a very like regulating the internet, or like choosing how the internet should best be run is like a very complicated and difficult thing. And personally, I enjoy how it exists right now. Is it without problems? No, but I enjoy the internet based off of how I use it,
Right.
and the way I make an impact on it. So in that case, I enjoy it for what it is right now.
Totally. And that brings up another good point too, how the internet's such a wide space. But I feel like now, since we've had all these like technological advances, you and I are talking through like video, you can post whatever you want online. You can kind of carve out your own space of the internet and then make that your own. And I think that's something that maybe, other generations, or, probably no other time in history besides right now, you could really create a space with that much bandwidth, really on whatever topic you wanted to.
Yeah. And that's kind of the double-edged sword of it all, is that like there's massively wealthy individuals in this really unregulated and wild place. And you can build communities that are either highly positive or highly negative. But if you use it in a way that's meaningful to you, it can be something that's really empowering for you and a community. And I think a few decades ago, the reality of like going a few hours away for college and then coming back to your hometown and staying in that community forever and not getting the chance to meet people beyond yourself unless you physically moved to different locations was something that was really restrictive of being able to communicate with other people. And I think I really like the ability to be able to find like-minded individuals pretty much instantaneously online. I think it's pretty incredible. And I'm really glad that like we have the ability to like learn and see different perspectives, and to just be able to get so much information from the internet so quickly.
I agree. And I don't know about you, but I feel like half the interactions I do on a daily basis is through like people I either met online, or like little things, or you go to Twitter to something to see like what someone's perspective is. And if you would think about it, if you would like eliminate all the communication that you would usually get from the internet, our circles would be a lot smaller. And we also wouldn't really be fostering a lot of the passions we have. Because on TikTok, like I've met a lot of people who like skiing, and I've never really done that before in my life. And it's so fun. It's like, hey, there's all these like-minded people that I would have never met before. But then that also begs the question too, there's like a positive and negative to everything in life. So with the wider circle and with like our always constant connectivity to it, how do you also just regulate yourself from not becoming like too involved just with everything on the screen, and like keeping in the realistic world as far as just like the physical world?
Yeah. I think that's something that I think it kind of goes back to the idea of like not pouring too much of your self-identity into being affirmed by your interactions online. And I think that even though like your circle can be fairly massive, like it's having people in your inner circle to the sense that you can like video call, or at least like audio call someone, is something that I think is incredibly important. And then it's even smaller when you go to like physically with each other. And like those interactions I think are the ones that I value the most, is the people that I communicate with like audibly. Like throughout like the last few years, especially, I've been like hopping on Discord and getting into voice chats with my friends, like my cross country friends from high school.
That's cool.
And we play like Tetris together, and like I think it's a good time, and we can like catch up and do things like that. And if it was just seeing each other's posts, like it would be so few and far between that we'd be able to like update with each other. And so there's inherently like an abyss between the people that you actually communicate with live one-on-one or in small groups and the people that you send stuff out to into the world. And so I think just ensuring that you are able to like protect that group of people in the sense that you keep around good people around you and that you value those people, like those good people more than the more anonymous following that you accrue, or that you passively communicate with, I think is a valuable way to stay grounded.
I really like how you put that, especially just like protecting just the people that you communicate with daily. Cause I don't know, just going through life, like how did you kind of figure out who you want to like keep close to, who you want to, I don't know, just kind of like filtering that as well. Or is there anybody too that like you met online that like maybe you're just different relationships like that? Or like you met someone that, you know, you knew them online first and now you have a really close relationship, or kind of the opposite, like someone really close in your life and now you kind of just communicate through online? Or
I think that's happened over time, is that there's certain people that cross the threshold. And I feel like sometimes it can be like, it just depends on how long they stay with you in that circle. But like, there's definitely people that I was like close with in like junior high and high school that I only will see on social media. And like, I probably won't see them unless there's like a high school reunion.
So then if people want to keep up with you, and obviously you've had your YouTube channel for the past 5 years and just working with that, what are some of the other directions that you've, you know, branched out to?
I think the thing that I've been trying to focus on a lot more recently is just, again, diversifying what I'm doing. So I've been trying to get more consistent of like posting on platforms like TikTok, just being willing to put the thoughts and the ideas that I've like curated for so long in other places. So then also putting my videos on like Facebook and putting the audio version on like my podcast. And so just trying to put myself in more than one place, and then also working on things in the background to make the Isaac Carlson experience online more complete and have more revenue streams coming in. So yeah, there's been things that I've been trying to work on in the background where it's like, what is the next logical place to monetize my content so that I don't have to rely on just advertisements or praying that I can get a brand deal or a sponsorship in the future, that I'm really trying to find a way to expand the business in an interesting way that like ties into the stuff that I already am excited about and caring about.
Definitely. I feel like that makes sense. And then I know you also mentioned like a travel company, or did you kind of dabble in that a little bit? Or
yeah, that's something that I'm like working on right now, and I'm like pretty far along. I haven't like made any like big official announcement of it or anything, mainly because I'm still working on like the branding portion of it and like setting up the website. But I'm to a stage where like I can now book travel for myself, and I'm just mainly looking for like people to want to book vacations underneath the travel agency. So those are kind of the things that I'm like working on, and then I speak a lot about with like my Patreon community.
Because that's another alternative platform that a lot of creators utilize, because you can put other content on there, and it's more reliable probably too.
Yeah, and that's the thing I wanted to figure out a show that I could have on a consistent basis that would allow me to just like that would be something unique but wouldn't take away from the content that I normally post. So I've got this series called Behind the Magic, where I sit down and for like 20 minutes to a half hour each week, I'll kind of go through what my plans are for the week, my mindset, and about how I'm progressing on plans. And it's the stuff that I don't want to necessarily like project out into the world just in case plans change, because they often do in like the behind the scenes of it, or like I'm thinking about this franchise, but then I might not make a video about it for a few weeks. So I don't want to like post that on Instagram or something like that. So it's just kind of like a dialogue that I get to have with the people that support me there. And I kind of consider them to be like the producers of the show. So it's kind of like a meeting kind of being able to talk about how the channel's going and where I see it going in the future.
That's super cool. Because like we were kind of talking about as well, people love to kind of like get to know the creator. So I feel like through different forms of that, like they can get to know you better. You know what I mean as well?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point too. That I was like, yeah, if they want to see more, there's avenues to be able to get more of that. And I feel like a sit down like that is a good opportunity to do that.
100%. So then just like working from home in like the traditional sense, if not the sense that we like have understood in the past, like, oh wait, I have to blow my nose. Okay. So working from home more in the traditional sense that you're self-employed, you have your own business, you create your own content. How does your day usually look? Or even how does your week? Is there a specific week that you film? Another week that you write scripts? I know like back in the day you used to write scripts and stuff like that. So do you still kind of have that workflow or?
Yeah, I honestly, the difficulty is just like finding a good workflow to like accommodate all the different things that I want to accomplish. I think that's kind of the most difficult thing because I've gotten very good at being able to post 2 videos a week. But then if I get caught up in a different project or like some other personal event happens, it becomes difficult to do that if I'm focusing on other things. And so it's typically though, like wake up and then start trying to make progress on something with the intent of being able to produce at least 2 videos. And then right now I want to get into the swing of posting 1 TikTok or short or reel every day too. So
I like that plan.
Yeah. So then it's like a few videos released throughout the week, but something also produced that's kind of more like updated in stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
Like for example, like I'm really excited because the Disney parks are now going to be bringing back fireworks in July, but I'm going in August. So it's like, I want to like just record something and be able to share that I'm excited about that.
Definitely. So you mentioned that you kind of just, whatever you're doing during the day, you're just working towards that goal of producing 2 videos and, a TikTok per day and whatnot. So then do you usually have a specific routine or is it more your day could look a little different every other day? Because recently I was talking with someone and we're like, I don't really work well with routines. I usually just kind of know what I want to accomplish in the day and then like somehow plan that out and do it. So it looks a little bit every day for me. So is that kind of what you were saying as well?
I think, yeah, because I felt like I really thrived in the routine of school and there was like rigid things that you had to do. And now that that's gone, it's kind of weird. I mean, honestly, the days that I feel the worst are the days that I feel like I didn't accomplish anything concrete.
Okay.
So I think that's the main thing that I just want to be able to do is that I want to have something that I like achieve every day, that it feels like some type of victory every day, because the times that it's the most frustrating is when there's something like that I'm working on that doesn't get done. And then it's still like looming over my head, but like that was as far as I could get with it that day. And that's like a really frustrating thing. Whereas like if you go to class, like throughout the rest of the day, you like went to class. So at least you had that.
Right.
And it's a similar thing with like working out. If you work out, you at least worked out. So like those are like very clear like achievements because you at least showed up and did them. And sometimes like it's hard to balance doing something that I want to do that day that's going to feel accomplishing and that like actually gets me that is actually something that's getting me towards the goals that I have.
Right. I get that. And like something tangible too, that you can look back on the day and say like, okay, I did this.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
So then besides just working from home and like working towards those specific things, what else do you do during the day? Like, do you go for any runs or like have any other like specific hobbies or like things that you try to like filter in there?
I think the thing, like, if I'm going to work out, typically it's going to run. I that's something that I continue to go back to. I also really enjoy getting the chance to like talk with friends and to communicate with them and have those like interesting conversations to get caught up on what everyone's doing and thinking about. I really enjoy learning about like the creator economy in my free time. I enjoy learning about like investing in finance at times, but then also just like getting the opportunity to fly and like travel places. I like flying. I think it's one of my favorite experiences. I know people can get over it really quick if they have to fly a lot for work or do something like that, but I think it's so fun. So I like being able to travel and do other things like that. I think, yeah, so it's just kind of a wide gamut of things, but typically the thing that takes up the most amount of time each week is the working on the channel. Yeah, but it's a fun gig. So
cool. Yeah, because I feel like today's society is so focused on like working in an office or, you know, working on something else, like whatever, an office setting or corporate setting. And I think it's really refreshing when there's people like you and just doing their own thing, but still, you know, making a living and doing things that they're passionate about and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's kind of like, yeah, seeing how far I can take this and seeing what the logical progression is for this over time, I think is exciting. Thinking about like how far I've come over the last 5 years is humbling. So to think about where it could go in another 10 years is an exciting idea that I don't think I think about enough, because it feels it can feel like at times that I'm taking a lot of losses because I'll only produce one video in a week, or I'll produce a variety of videos that don't get very many views, or things like that feel like big losses, but really are just like short-term moments.
And definitely, because when you are focused on succeeding, it's like you're only seeing what's in front of you. And like, so sometimes, that I think it's always important for people to like give themselves credit and like be proud of themselves. You know what I mean? And that's so important. And you have so much to be proud of, I feel like. So definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think about it more as like, trying to think about it less as I should be at like the pinnacle of my like career right now, and more of it as like I'm still building a foundation.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Because a lot of people would see like, 5 years ago to now, and it's really just a journey. But a lot of times we think of it like where we are now is like the pinnacle. But then when you look back, it's like, no, that was just stepping stones to where I am now. So
yeah, because it's like a weird thing where it's like if you constantly are thinking that like the entirety of my life has led up to this moment, it can feel like there's like a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But so then to put it in the context of, well, no, what you're doing right now is building up to something in the future.
Exactly.
Whereas, like that can be a mindset shift that I find is helpful, because it puts in the context that like I have so much time to like continue to evolve and do more things.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So then kind of speaking to that, like, where do you see yourself in the next like 5 to 10 years, if whatever direction? I know it's like kind of a cliche question, but what would you want either your brand or yourself to kind of be headed towards in the next, half decade?
Yeah. I mean, one goal that I always have is that I want to hit 1 million subscribers, but more than that, I hope that my business is just more diverse, ready to continue to like be able to be built upon and expanded. And really though, like, I just want to be able to be excited about what I'm doing still, whether that be on YouTube or not. I don't think I'll ever go.
Yeah, that's another question. Would you ever completely go away from YouTube, or?
Part of me thinks that I don't know. Part of me thinks like it's possible. Like if I suddenly,
yeah,
I could
what would take you to not post YouTube videos? Or,
see,
you know,
I don't really
yeah.
know. Cause it's like, part of me is like, sure. I don't think I would be, like I could see myself. No, I don't know. It's like part of me is like, oh, well, like when I take a weekend off, I don't have a massive desire to like immediately come back and make videos. And I can take a month off and like be okay without making videos. But I can't imagine saying I'm going to like never make another video. Like
Yeah,
that
I
idea
agree.
bums me out. So
Right.
in that
Which you're a
respect, I
healthy
don't think
person.
I will.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, are you familiar with like Alfie Days? Think about this so much because he was a daily vlogger. He vlogged his life every day for like, I think 500 days or something like that, or whatever, every single day. Or maybe it was like 4 years. I have a really long time. And then he took a break and now he makes a daily vlog like once every 2 weeks. But like he was explaining one time, like he could never completely put it away, but like as his channel grew and as like, you know, his opportunities and what he wanted to make out of like his brand changed, like he didn't have as much time or like desire to like film like every moment of his life anymore, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's kind of that same process that sometimes creators go through. It's like growing pains almost.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just like hitting different eras in the span of like a content creator's career. Like if I, you know, it's like, it depends on what like opportunities come my way or what opportunities I want to create for myself.
Right.
Like if it all of a sudden became like the YouTube algorithm was super excited and like videos were constantly blowing up by like documentary style videos where you only post one a month. Like I would, if my channel could be sustained posting one video a month, I would totally be fine with like doing something like that. Like, but I think it's just like seeing how the landscape develops and kind of like just doing things that feel natural, that still like align with best practices, but just like get me to the places where I want to continue to keep getting to.
Oh yeah, totally. It makes sense too. And I feel like your perspective from it, just kind of being in the game, so to speak, like the past 5 years and doing it on such a routine, you can really see those trends and like pick up on your own pace of it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's something interesting too, is that like we're in an era right now where like Mr. Beast is like the king. And even like PewDiePie though, like he's still a dominant player, but like it's kind of like reactions and like low intimate quality like content, and then like massive expensive like dazzling like hero content getting pushed, and those are like
Right.
big things that are being created right now. And sometimes it can be difficult to like find your place amongst that landscape, but the thing is that you don't really know what's going to rise or fall in the future. And so it's most important to just focus on what your impact and what your desire is in the future. And so just focusing on
100%.
that.
Yeah. I made a video probably like 6 months ago, just talking about like the most important quality if you want to start a YouTube channel is just like being yourself and not trying to like mirror anyone else's, but like sometimes you might be figuring out exactly like how you should represent yourself or like what kind of topics you should talk about. But if you have a vision and then you're true to like your own personality and perspectives, I feel like that's all you can do, because people aren't going to subscribe to you. I mean, they might, but like if you're someone else acting like someone else, inevitably that's not yourself. And like the best gift that you can give like yourself on this platform is just like to be yourself in that type of way.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree that it's like, I think it's good to be inspired by people, but there's an inevitable point in time where you have to take a step forward where you are like making things that are representative purely you. And
Exactly.
so tuning that
Yeah.
out and finding your own voice is important.
100%. So yeah, where can people find you then moving forward? you said you post a lot on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah. You can find me on YouTube by searching Isaac Carlson, but then on like every other platform, I'm Mr. Isaac Carlson. So Mr. Isaac Carlson. So
nice.
Those are the places to find me.
Yeah. So if you guys are just interested, check out his content. And I've also noticed you've done some more long form discussions too. I forgot who I watched one a few months ago.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like that type of content really suited you as well. So
yeah, I've got a long form interview series called Following Dreams, where I talk to like actors, cast members, directors, and other YouTubers about how they like pursued their dreams and followed their passions as they went through their career and how they got to where they are. And so if you're interested in being someone like a Disney animator, I've talked to a lot of them about how they got to where they are and how they created iconic characters like the characters in Meet the Robinsons or Cusco or who else, like Hades, like I was able to
awesome. That's really
Ursula,
cool.
yeah, a lot of cool people.
Yeah, how do you inevitably like come in contact with them? Is it just like a messaging them on Instagram or?
I go to LinkedIn. That's typically where I go to. So I've been trying to build up the LinkedIn professional network so then I can like connect with them, because I've got like a few people that I'm already connected with. Like we have a few connections, and then I message them through after that about
that's cool,
seeing if they're interested in, coming and speaking to me.
I might have to try that approach, LinkedIn.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think people typically on LinkedIn, it's DMing about like, hey, do you want to hire me?
Yeah.
Or like, do you have advice for me? And so the idea of being like, do you want to promote yourself or
people would
talk
love
about
that.
yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lower time commitment. It's easier to get through to people on LinkedIn than something like Instagram, especially if they're like a popular figure there.
Right, 100%. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on today. And I feel like we talked a lot of just about like the creator economy and just really following your passions. Like when you mentioned your podcast, Following Your Dreams, I feel like this was almost just like an expose about how you kind of are following your dreams. And I think that's super cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And it was a fun conversation.